Yo, what up, everybody? Guys, your boy here, MC. I'm back, and welcome back to One Africa Forum. It's a beautiful day. I am very excited to come here today and to have a conversation with you all. Thank you. First of all, let me just say this. Thank you so much for joining me today. And wherever you're joining from, please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from. All right. What you can do is this: let me know in the comment section where you're watching from, where you're catching us live, and as we continue, I just want to shout out to y'all guys everywhere you are. I have Rita here already. Rita, I remember yesterday she was here. Hey Rita, it's good to see you. Welcome. It's beautiful to have you here today. And yeah, just let me know where you guys are watching from in the comment section. But we're gonna have an amazing discussion today, and this is what we're gonna be talking about today. How do we resolve conflicts without having to go to wars? Oh, there's a different version of this. How can we have everlasting peace in Africa? Oh, what kind of Africa do we want to see, and how can we develop it? So all this stuff, I think they are, mixed up together, but this is what we're going to be trying to talk about today. And so please join. If there are people that are not here right now, please go ahead, share this link with them. Tell them that, you know what, guys, we're about to go to One Africa Forum right now. We're about to start. All right. Today, I'm not going to have like a long time of introduction and then having the panel, but panel will be here very soon, shortly. And we'll start diving in. We're going to have our brother Ezra from South Africa. He's going to be sharing with us a lot of stuff that are going on around the world, because yesterday, if you guys were there, one of the things that we spoke about is how much conflicts are going on around the world right now. So we're going to try to go through each one of them and trying to address a little bit. Just try to have conversation. All right. So if you are coming from a place or a region whereby there's a lot of crisis or conflicts there right now, don't hesitate, guys. We're going to have a discussion about it today, and we're going to try to find a common ground today together. We don't have the answers. We don't have all the answers, but God does. And so we're going to have this conversation with one another and talk about it. And yesterday, we started a new tradition, which I love it. Yesterday, what we did at the end of the session, we actually prayed together. I always say that, guys, let's pray for Africa, let's pray for Africa. But what if people, they don't do it? So we started this tradition at the end of this live stream to actually pray together. So what we do is, for us that we are here on the screen, we'll be praying silently in our hearts, and you guys, whatever religion you are coming from, whether you're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Buddhism, you don't have religion, we're going to pray to God anyways, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to have a moment to actually pray about those things. We're going to talk about it, we're going to discuss about it, but at the end, we're going to pray about it, because it's very important to rely on God. If we rely on our own understanding, that's why things are getting out of hand sometimes. So please invite people who are not here right now. Tell them that we're going to have an amazing discussion and conversation today. All right. I have Turo Jalso from Addis Ababa. Appreciate. Thank you for joining. Rita from Ethiopia. Yes, I know yesterday she joined from Ethiopia as well. What about others? Because I see I have a number of people here. But, some people, they don't really like writing or texting. So it's understandable, Yeah, but let me just remind you, if you're new to this family, know that this is the place, is your place. You're not a guest here, but this is your house. I want you to feel that, oh, Swahili Nation, this is my place. This is my house. This is my thing. I want you to feel that way. One Africa Forum, well, this is my thing. I'm African. This is my thing. I have to participate. I should participate, because everyone has a voice. And what we do, we always share a link here for you guys to actually come join and share your opinion as well. So that's just to show that, guys, there's no chosen one. All right, you are the one. You are the chosen one, and you are part of this. And this is your place, and this is your family. So it's a platform where you are allowed to raise your voice about things that are going on around the world. Raise your voice, because I believe, me as Mika, I believe every voice matters. You have a voice, I have a voice, they have a voice. Every single one of us, we have a voice, and your voice matters. Your voice matters. You have to raise your voice. And maybe you don't have a platform to raise a voice. Well, this is the platform for you right now to raise a voice about things that means a lot to us. One Africa Forum. Simona, peace is the only option. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, you know. I know sometimes we might be searching for the peace and wanting to have peace, and it seems like there's no hope for tomorrow. But you know what? That's a lie. Don't believe that. It's a lie from the devil, because there is hope for tomorrow. There's hope for peace, for love, and unity. That hope is out there somewhere. So keep hanging there and keep holding on to that. Yes. So I have Professor Ezra right here. Yes, guys, please invite people, because we need to have this conversation with you guys. All right, it's not just a conversation of us. It's not just a conversation of me and just a certain people, but it's a conversation of everybody. So I want you guys to be involved. I want you guys to feel like this is your place, and I want you guys to be free to actually share. We're gonna talk about so many things today. So many countries, so many places. Even myself will be here listening as well, because there are things that I don't know and you guys know. There are things that you don't know and other people knows. So we're gonna be doing that as well here in this place today. Yeah, so please, you know, and you guys, you know that you always have an opportunity to share the topics you want us to talk about. If there's something specific you feel like, you know what, I think we should talk about this, you know, go ahead and share with us. That will mean a lot, because, you know, we always need to collectively, you know, unity is power. So we need to bring Africa together. And that's not a job that only Swahili Nation can do. No, it's a job that every single one of us can do. How do we resolve conflicts without having to go on a wars? And this is not just going to be a topic talk about, but we'll start with the facts. We'll start with the things that are going on right now around the world, right? We'll have our brothers here, and they'll be sharing about different things that you guys also have to be aware of. And we're gonna start from there and carry on to see how are we going to resolve those things. So once again, I appreciate you guys for joining. And yeah, don't forget to share with people as well. Well, yesterday we were talking about do not take shortcuts. It was a pretty interesting topic to talk about. So if you were not here on day 19th of One Africa Forum Season 2, if you're not here, please go ahead and check that out. It's something very good you will learn. And I'm trying to cut a small part, and I'll be sharing with you guys in the very soon. What kind of Africa do we want to see? What kind of Africa do you want to see? How can we develop it? How can we change it? Come on, Kuru. Professor Kuru is back. Professor Kuru, it's good to see you here. It's good to see you guys. So, guys, you can come in. This is gonna be a beautiful conversation, and let me just say this: we might not be able to stay here for like 2 hours, guys. Today, I think we might stay for like 1 hour and something. So we will try to manage the time as well, because today I'm having a little bit of limits of my internet today. So hopefully it will be enough for 1 hour. And yes, I have a little bit limit, and I'm already inside, and I started this, so I cannot really stop. Yeah. Yeah, so boys, come on. I want to talk to y'all, man. Guys, come on. I'm too lonely here. Just a little bit of the announcement, guys. I can't believe I'm saying announcements. All right. I feel like I'm in the church service or something. Announcements, guys. I've released 4 reactions today. 4 reactions from different countries. Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Somalia, actually 5 countries, because one was collaboration as well. I released 4 reactions. So after this live stream, just go ahead and watch it, and and support. We have artists in Africa who are doing amazing. when it comes to music. Let's support our own. Let's support African music. Let's support our artists and make sure that the music it goes out there in the world. I want this world to be filled by so many positivity in African music. You know what I'm saying? So go and support. The reaction that I've done, and yeah, that will be really, really, really amazing. All right, guys. So well, I shared the link in the WhatsApp, but I will share here again. I'm gonna share the link, and you guys please feel free to come in. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this topic today, and I'll have brothers here actually talking about it. Um, the other day, day 18, I came here and spoke about the conflicts that are going on and why I think war is not a solution to issues that we are going through. So today, I think we're gonna go deep with that and just share about the conflicts, different conflicts that we're having. Because man, when you look at Africa, remember the speech of Professor Lumumba. Man, like when you look at what he was saying, you realize that there's so many conflicts everywhere in eastern side, western, southern, northern, central, everywhere. Man, there's so many conflicts are going on, and I'm always wondering what's going on with Africa, why all these things has to go on, why this has to go, why that has to happen, why that has to happen. Always asking these questions, and we can be lazy and say that I think it's God's plan, God knows what's going on, but I don't want to be lazy. I want to find the solution because God has given us brain, and that means He has trusted us with that there's things we can figure them out. Just using this brain is using what God has already given, right? So we will need to sit down and discuss that. Where are we doing wrong? What do you think we should change? How can we have this conversation with people who they don't want to have conversation with me? Because our desire and my desire is to see Africa has peace. Is to see you guys, my neighbors, having peace. Is to see that guy having peace. That's my desire. That's our desire. That's truly my desire. So I just really hope that it will reach to that place as well. Um, all right, I need Kuru as a moderator. All right. All right, this is good. Yeah, so that's our desire. That's my desire. I think it was the famous Chinese military who said this: the best war is one that is not found. Exactly. Exactly, and this one I get a lot of inspiration from Martin Luther King, MLK, because you remember during the civil rights movement, and a lot of black people that were being killed, a lot of black people that were being humiliated, black women that were being raped, and so many people that were just killed. Segregation, it was extreme in America, right? They even had the separate bathroom. For black people, they had their own, like people of color, they had their own bathroom, and white people they had, and there's so many movies that talking about that. And I had to read about that story because I told you guys that I had an opportunity to meet with Martin Luther King daughter. All right, let me show you guys. Let me show you guys a video a little bit. Okay, this is not about me, but I'm telling you the history here about Martin Luther King daughter, right? And okay, daughter. Let me try to show you here, guys, and explain a little bit. So I had a okay. So I had I have Ezra here already. Essay. Let me show you guys this. Ezra is right here. Ezra, what's up, brother?
I'm all good, Mika. How are you?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. What's up, man? Well, it's good to see you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mika.
Yeah. Um.
Also good to see
Good
you.
morning, everybody. It's early in the morning, 5 a.m. Wait, so this, can you guys hear this? And young motivators, we're living right now to pick up Dr. Martin Luther King's daughter today. Man, this is great. We are going to witness the history. So, being here for much years, let me go forward. See, history is right to show you when she was alive and everything. Yeah, it's right here. I think this is when she was arriving. This is the one. And here in the hotel. Right here.
What?
Okay, hold on one second. Anyways, we sang a little bit, but I remember us to show you guys this. Anyways, so this was the moment that we met with MLK, and this was when, yeah, and this is when we had to um, listen and to actually know a lot that happened during that time. Because a lot of things happened during civil rights movement. But one thing that I was really inspired and encouraged is um, Martin Luther King. He believed in nonviolence, right? He believed in nonviolence, and he believed that they will be able to get their rights or to fight for their rights without fighting. And that's why you have this really big speech, "I Have a Dream," and they were marching on that bridge. I mean, you all know the story. And you know what happened. You know what happened. Yes, he was killed because literally sacrificed his life to fight for that. But he believed in nonviolence, even though they were being abused, they were being killed, and they were being humiliated. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we are preaching right now in Africa, and especially because we have our brothers and sisters with us, and we cannot afford to just kill one another to think that that's a solution. All right, guys, I'm not gonna talk more today, but it's good to have His Excellence Ezra here. Ezra, I'm gonna give you a floor, to go ahead and to share with us um yeah, a couple things. But also, Ezra,
Yes,
are you
Mika.
there?
I'm
Yes,
here.
yes. Are you there, brother?
I'm here, brother.
How are you, man?
All good, all blessed,
Mm-hmm.
all of the above, everything high.
Yeah.
I'm on-
I think this is the first time you're joining without your video.
I'm just I was just putting my stuff,
uh,
books and whatnot on the
it's good to
side.
see you, man. I mean, looking at your face, I feel like I know you. I feel like I saw you before.
Yeah, maybe in the spirit you've seen me before.
Oh yeah, always does that. Connection in the spirit all the time.
Yeah, man. It's
Well,
like dreams.
uh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I'll ask you to do.
mm.
Yeah, please go ahead, Ezra.
No, you can go ahead, Mika. It was just gonna be something off. I was just saying
No, no.
dreams. In dreams sometimes you when you've met somebody and you have a special
Mm,
connection, it's like I don't know if you've had an encounter where you meet somebody for the first time, but
mm,
after having a conversation with them, that one time it felt like you've known them your whole life, but you've just met this
exactly.
person. It,
Yeah, yeah.
special connections.
That's That's what's up. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna want to ask you, Ezra, one thing. If you can comment in the live stream, just anything, because I wanna do something. I wanna do
Okay.
something with. I cannot do if you with your name. I
Okay.
need to do in the live stream there. I just did with Kuru Et already, and I did with my brother here already. So I wanna do it with you as well.
Okay. Let me see. How do you go about it? Yeah, because now seems like
Mm.
on the StreamYard it only allows me on the private chat. And I can only see the comments,
Ah.
but I can't add my comment
Yeah, you
here.
can
Why?
go on YouTube
Yeah, I
directly.
should just go direct into YouTube now.
Yeah.
See here.
And then, guys, please welcome people. Share this video. We're gonna start very soon. And our brother here, His Excellence Ezra, all the way from South Africa, he will be, sharing us a couple things, and we're gonna be taking from there. And just to say this topic today, what we are talking about, our brother here, he actually came up with a suggestion. Yesterday during the live stream. So we're gonna dive in, right away, and I just cannot wait because I know it's gonna be a beautiful day. And one thing to say, guys, we're not gonna stay here for long today. I want us to make it, very productive and not that long, not all the way to 2 hours, because I'm having a limited, actually. What is that? Oh, okay, I got this. All right, I just did it. I had to add you guys as a moderator, so I just did it. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so guys, welcome. It's good to see everybody. So Ezra, man, go ahead. I'm really excited for this topic today. What we're gonna be talking about, and I think you can just go ahead and share a couple things that are in your heart and in your mind as well.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the platform.
Man, get out of
and,
here, man.
and all the One Africa family, all
Mm,
protocol observed.
mm.
uh,
Cheers.
I wish I had my cup
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
Where do we start? One of the most interesting topic that I would love us to delve in today is how do we resolve conflicts without having to go to wars? Because as this came about with the increase in fighting now in our continent, where at some point we were having a lot of many countries not going into wars or any infighting, or civil wars, and it seems like there's been a spike in infighting amongst countries that um, we were believing in peace, and we believing that we are all in the right direction. No one is going into wars, and no one is going into coups and all that stuff. And the reason I thought of this topic was the number of countries that are going into so-called conflicts or wars, and or where now soldiers are deployed, or the people have gone into some sort of a military action between themselves as a government and maybe a division or a part of a country where they don't feel that maybe their consent is being attended to, or their
Mm,
consent is being addressed. Looking at countries like Swatini, just here in the south, neighboring South Africa and Mozambique, and
mm,
also in Mozambique, in the northern part of Mozambique, with the so-called an Islamic so-called, if I may use that word so-called, because we don't really know for sure that it is
mm,
a, because everything will sometimes be classified in a religious way, or of what people believe in, and they'll label them according to their belief. But it's
mm,
people at the end of the day that come from those countries, and they've got concerns, and they've raised concerns, and we are seeing just government taking the military route, instead of, we don't see a lot of negotiations within the people of a country, or of African people having a dialogue to say, how do we resolve these issues? What is your concern? What made you uh, take the action of taking arms to fight your own people? you know and why, in
mm,
all these things, even if you've got concerns, why do you kill even innocent people? Raising your concerns, the very same people that you saying they are living in those poor conditions. For example, if you're saying you're fighting for the resources of your region or your state or your province, and you still kill the same people that live in the same state that you are say you claim to represent. So
mm,
yeah, and such things where questions needs to be asked. Why when I'm looking at, when I'm observing as just an observer, why many governments are taking the military stance to just go and say, we're going to bombard that area, we're going to look for those people who are causing divisions, or who are rebellious, or any of that stuff. And we are not seeing a lot of dialogue where people are coming together to speak and try to sort out issues. You find that some of the issues, if they can be raised in a way that we can reach a hand to each other, instead of reaching a hand humbly, regardless of you having the advantage,
mm,
reaching out to somebody. They might be angry, yes, you might be in power, yes, but reaching out a hand to the next person without showing your arrogance, without showing that you are in charge. I believe that dialogue is like what Martin Luther King believed in. That dialogue is one of those resolutions. And war, or just taking an action of a military drill or military action, is should be the really the last resort. But we should exhaust all means possible before we can go into taking a military stance against your own people in your country. And I believe that currently in Africa, in African politics or African affairs, there isn't much dialogue, and sometimes it leaves us wondering about the AU stands in terms of uniting the people and having a dialogue to bring all parties of every nation in resolving their matters. Hence, sometimes we are fighting for AU positions, the Security Council, and all those positions and influence in the United Nations, but also looking at AU as a whole, it leaves so much to be desired, and hence sometimes we don't get what we need because they don't see our institutions being strong enough to even handle our own internal affairs. So I believe that it's time that we should be reaching out. Governments should be reaching out to their people on the ground, regardless of whatever issues they are having with those people. But I think there should be more dialogue first instead of military action being taken to fight each other, or to just say I'm trying to shut the voice that is out there, because maybe they are raising good causes that we might learn as well and we might have to address. Because maybe sometimes as a government they might take that action to say we're just going to take a military action, but next time it might not. You stop one fire and another fire might start in another state having the same issue because they've never been addressed, and they've never been a time where people can sit down and have a dialogue and speak about these matters, put your concerns down, put your needs on the table. And I also have to put my needs as a government or as a ruling party to say, this is where we stand as the people. What is your concern? Can we talk, and because I think even if currently I think most of governments are coming from the stance of we are a government, we're going to silence you, you can't tell us anything, you're just rebellious. It's like you having your own kids. Let's say you've got 54 children, and there's one child who's not who's rebelling in the house. Everyone thinks he's rebellious. Why is this one always fighting with the parents? But there might be concerns if a parent can just say, cannot can try to sit down with his child and say, can we sit down and talk? Instead of saying I'm older than you, you listen. And sometimes that approach is what makes even kids and or people become more rebellious, because they feel that they are not being listened to, and they are already being demonized before they can even sit down. They feel that they're already judged before they can even sit down. So it's a matter of them saying, we'll do whatever we want, we'll show you. They're trying to prove a point as well. But if we can also just be the bigger person and humble ourselves as government to say, and even if maybe we are struggling to reach out to our kids, you find that there's somebody who can come and make you guys sit down and resolve this matter, whether it's neighboring countries or it's a regional bloc. If it's something that's happening in the southern part of Africa, our neighbors should be the first ones to say, no guys, you're a family, you can't be fighting. How can we help? How can we bring you together to sit at the same table, speak your issues? Yes, everything that will be said will not obviously be nice. When people are telling you how they feel about you, sometimes it will be a matter of you thinking I'm doing the right thing, I'm the parent, as the government will act as the parent. And whoever who's a rebel or who's called a rebel will become like a child. And for them to sit down and resolve their matters, it will take you as a parent sometimes to just, you know what, I'm going to listen to my children. And it's not a matter of I'm older, yes, I need to be respected. We know that as an Africans that the hierarchy of respect obviously goes from, even if you look at it biblically as well, where there's a blessing in honoring your parents, so the hierarchy from God to the father, the mother, and then the kids, that hierarchy is of utmost importance. And as African families, and we are still living with people who are old. And remember our politics. Look at our politicians. Most of them, they talk about people who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So we have people that come from different generations. But when you look at all these places where there's so many infighting, or people who are saying they want to become their own countries, or they want to do whatever, it's mostly young people who are involved. Why are young people being recruited in those groups? you know So that means that young people are sitting.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, idle minds that are sitting there, but a lot of potential that is sitting there. And whenever it gets any opportunity to do something, it's easy to recruit such people because they are not really maybe economically active in those places, or they feel neglected.
Mm.
And so I think dialogue is one of them.
Let me
Also,
ask you a question right there
mm,
before you move on. So
yes,
somebody asked this question yesterday, Ezra, right? And I think as we are going on, uh, let's also point out about this specific, for example, what you are sharing about Swaziland. I
mm,
think it will be good if you let us know as well what's going on there, because some people they might not be aware. Just like me yesterday, I had no idea what was going on. But on top of that, as you continue, I also want to add one question that someone asked you this question. Oh, by the way, it's good to see you, Professor Kuru. Um,
hey,
welcome.
Professor Kuru, welcome.
Um, I haven't forgotten you. Yes, okay. So one person asked this question yesterday. Uh, Kuru, you here?
I think I'm on, right? The mic
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah, you're
working.
on. You're on.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
What up, Isra? What up? What up, Isra?
What
Mika,
up, Prof?
welcome back, man.
Appreciate, man. I'm resurrected. I'm resurrected.
It's good. It's
Back
good.
in
It's good
action.
to hear from you, man.
Yeah, appreciate, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's great.
Ah,
That's great. Yeah, health is first,
okay,
man. Before anything else, health is first.
definitely,
True.
definitely, definitely. All right, let me jump right over to that question to add to you, Ezra. That so somebody asked this question yesterday. He said, how? So you are suggesting that instead of going on a war, we have to sit down and talk to people like Al Shabaab, like Boko Haram. Uh, and he said, hell no, ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna do that. So my question is, we want to resolve our conflicts without going on a war. And the conflicts we're talking about, for example, in Nigeria, Boko Haram, and in some part of Eastern and the Horn of Africa, we have this word. Um, is it Al Shabaab? Yeah, I believe that's the one.
It's a
Um,
shabab.
yes, what is your as you are talking about this, I want you to try to point out about that as well. What is your thoughts about that? Do you think even when it comes to that, we should not go on a war? Because those people, they're actually part of Africa, right? They are Africans, right? But are people who actually they're looking forward to kill people and to do whatever thing by their own reasons that they have, right?
Mm.
So considering that as well, what ways do you think we can approach this as well with people like that? Because will they say, you know what, they are taking the coat of America, that America did not negotiate with terrorists. These are terrorist people, and they're not deserve to be listened. They're not deserve to be whatever. So I want to hear your thoughts as well as you are pointing out about this. You can go ahead.
Okay. I think the American version of not labeling. America is a country where they label a lot. Hence, even Africa,
That's true.
most of the how the poverty, the everything that's mostly known about Africa, it's about most of the narrative that came from American media labeling Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of I stand on the point to say that we
Mm-hmm.
need to speak to Al Shabaab. There has to be a conversation with Al Shabaab. There has to be a conversation with Boko Haram or any other military group, LRA, all the military wings that are out there that are saying they are fighting for a cause. Because that most of us we just see the one side of it. Most of the time when they're showing those groups, they're just showing when they've kidnapped girls, they've killed so and
Mm-hmm.
so, they've raided a town or any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, we need to we should not forget that the very same people that are saying they're
Mm-hmm.
fighting for a cause, whether yes, I don't agree with the fact that they are maybe even as I said first, that they're inflicting their own, yes, their killing their own people in their same regions that they come from because they want to instill fear, they want to instill power. So but we still need, as governments, they should not, that's why they should really try to make a dialogue, whether they have to meet in a neutral place with those leaders. It will help us a lot, because the more we can hear the other side as well, because now the narrative is skewed to say, look what they did, look what they did, look what they did. But let's sit down and bring them on the table. Yes, we've had some of the concerns that some people say, no, those people, they want to bring maybe a certain religion to be their national that will rule them. They want to put maybe a certain religion as their for example, their rule of law, or their constitution. In their constitution, they want to include their religion as part of a cause. And it's a matter of us bringing them together to say, we are not a monolithic society. We are not we are we are a diverse people in Africa, and there's no way that one system can work in Africa. Those are the things that we need to put out there, to tell them that, hey, there are people who don't believe in your religion, and you can't force them. You know, preach your religion in a way that, yes, it'll those who feel that they can it can accommodate them, they will join you. But those who don't feel comfortable, they won't join you. But it doesn't mean they're your enemies, because now they demonize one side to say they are terrorists. Then the nation also have a thing that we won't talk to those people, they are terrorists. But we forgetting that those are our own children, those are our cousins, those are our brothers, because in every family, no one believes in one particular belief, for example. So we need to be aware that Mika, can't hear you.
Ezra,
Kuru, Prof. Kuru, can you hear
what
me?
up? What up? Yeah, I think
All
I
right.
can hear you.
All
I think
right.
Can you
you
hear
broke.
Mika? Because I
You
couldn't
guys
hear
can hear
Mika.
me, right?
Now we can hear you.
All right. Yeah. So I have a follow up question. So I just wanna point out what you just say. So what you're trying to say is actions that have been done by all these we call terrorist group in Africa. First of all, they're not acceptable, because
Mm,
that's what we're talking about here. That
mm,
there's not, it's not right. It's not okay to kill people for any reason, for whatever reason. That's why we're
mm,
having this topic today. That um, we need to resolve these conflicts without going on a war. Literally, is saying that we don't have to kill people, because war is actually killing people, right?
mm,
And what you're pointing out is very interesting. I love what you say, that we only see one side of the story. Like we see that, oh, these people had kidnapped these girls and they're killing and they're doing these activities, and we are condemning it. That's not right. That is wrong, and it's supposed to be paid. If it is going to prison for life, you're gonna go there. But on the other side of the government, for us looking how are we going to move forward, because if we are not going to be able to talk and to have conversation, that means we are leaving a room for whatever this group to continue to kill and to do whatever they want to do, unless we actually have a talk.
mm,
Some of them, but if we don't have a talk, that means we're gonna move on our own way, finding them to kill them, and they're really good at hiding. And what's happening is what is happening in Nigeria, right? You see, like every single day, civilian and innocent people are dying, and government cannot even trace these groups. And there's a lot of conspiracy theory that, oh, they're working with government, or they're working with that, with that. We have all those kind of stories all the time. You can hear them. And so the point is that for them to actually be like, to have a conversation with them, to know like what, like why this is happening, like
mm,
why you have to do this, why this is going on. Is there no way for these things to stop? Is there no way for this thing not to be done? But what are you going to say to those situations that you know you do have conversation, you have conversation with these groups, but they still don't, they don't reconcile, they don't want to follow up with anything. Like it seems like there's no resolution. What do you think should be done from there?
mm. What I've noticed as well, Mika, that because some of the issues have been left out for so long, most of the issues have been left out for so long, and you end up having not one military wing or one voice that's speaking. You find that there's smaller groups that developed over time because these guys have been secluded for so long, and everyone is also, that's why you find like them also fighting for territory as well. You find that how these people, they were fighting for a cause, now they are also fighting among each other somehow, or they didn't get along because of how they will want to also enforce maybe an ideology over a nation. They also have a
Mm.
division among
Mm.
themselves, even though maybe they
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
saying they want to use a certain religion to make it law or to
Mm.
make it constitution in the country. But because
Mm.
government has
Mm.
neglected the matter for far too long, and it has escalated in such a
Mm.
way that it's no longer just one secular
Mm.
group. If you look at it, you find that there's many subgroups that have found a way to say we also are fighting this cause, because
Mm.
obviously when you recruit, you'll always have different ideologies. Others will just say, because we hate whoever is in government now, yes, so I'll join anything. But in terms of the implementation part, you find that even themselves, they are fighting. That's why you
Mm.
find that some of the rebel groups, like they're in Darfur, in
Mm.
Sudan, and all that stuff. It's not easy to bring everyone because there's so many military groups that are out there, and you can't really, even if you
Mm.
bring the biggest ones, you'll find that there's two, three others that are not coming to the meeting or coming to the
Mm.
negotiation, and they keep on. There's no ceasefire. They keep on bombing. They keep on fighting, whatever their cause
No.
is. And also looking at this groups, how I saw another documentary, how others came about protecting their own villages. You find that guys, let's say we live in a certain village, we've had a text
Mm.
from maybe a certain group that was saying they want to establish a certain law in the country, a certain way of living, and then because they've attacked the village, as a village now, the village
Mm.
stands to do what? They're getting somebody to fund them to get weapons and or whatever, and then now they're starting also their own smaller military group to say they'll protect their own interest or their own village or their own town.
Mm.
So that's how you end up having so many groups that come up because the government didn't spend enough time to go and deal with the matter at hand while it started, because all these things, the
Mm.
intelligence had the information, but it's just somebody just having the as you said, the police, you say, will not talk to the terrorists, will not talk to those people.
Yeah.
Sidelining those people does not help the country because you're dealing with people that are on the ground, and you are in the offices where you don't see the real issues that is affecting those people. You only
Mm.
hear when there's fires that you need to go and stop. So this is the
Mm.
problem where we end up having many military groups, because it also goes to tribes, it goes to villages. Then you can't even bring everyone to the
All right.
table, because when you ask the other guys, they're
Okay.
like, no, we're defending our own people. We don't care about those people. We're
Mm.
just defending our village because we've been attacked
Mm.
before. So
Mm.
that's what I'm saying. We can't leave the dialogue outside. We can't really say we can't talk to them. We are taking the American stance and whatnot. But even America, somehow they do end up
Yeah.
sometimes using the dialogue route. It's not always the case where they just opt for war
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and say they will not talk to the
Okay.
so-called terrorists and stuff.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, brother. I know you have a lot to share. Um, it's good to see brother Ezra as well. Welcome, Professor.
Professor
Good to
Ezra,
have you here.
nice seeing you, man.
Excellencies. The excellencies are in the room.
The one, the one with my hair. I feel like you have my head.
Yeah. Copy the style, man.
um, well, before hearing you, brother Ezra, I want to go to Kuru. He has been here for a while. Kuru, man, you go ahead. To share with us what do you have in your mind.
Yeah. Just what up, guys? What? No, I think I have to say. I have to stop saying guys. I have to start saying your excellencies. Yeah. So, so yeah, uh, yeah. You guys have. I mean, you have touched so many points, man. But I just want to point out some fundamental um, issue when we talk about like resolving conflicts, right? So just let's to the basic to its basic essence, right? When we talk about conflicts, we are we saying like this is about like two bodies sitting together and to come up with the common ground, right? It's to negotiate and to make it a win-win situation for both parties, right? So that's like negotiation really means in this regard. So my question is like, okay, so what if one party decided that this is not gonna be it for me, you know? uh this is the situation, like this is as simple as it could get, right? So there are two parties, and one party says like, okay, so I'm gonna get a larger share than you. I'm gonna get more benefit out of this. And what happened? I mean, what are you gonna do, what are you gonna do about that? So that's the question that we all need to ask, right? So it's always, so it has to be a win-win situation, like for both parties, right? But what if the other party says like, okay, so I'm gonna get
Kuru, you cut off.
I'm
Kuru
gonna
is
get
gone. All right, I believe he'll be back. Um, as he's here. Okay. All right. Yes,
sorry
Kuru.
guys, the connection is, I told you, it's really bad here.
No
Anyways,
worries.
so yeah, that's the question that I want to throw out there. So because I mean, we can talk like all day, like when it comes to like peace and having like a common ground and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, there is always one party that who always want to benefit more, wants to get out of the situation more. So I mean, that's the problem that we're in. Like you can take that in any situation. So I mean, and if all you take, for example, all the necessary measures to, you talk about peace, you always go there, you plead your situation, and then after that, what if the party that really don't accept that? I mean,
Mm,
right? So
If
mm,
for, I mean, South Africa is a very a great example. I mean, for this, right? If you say like, okay, so the South African, the locals, they are really suffering from all this the situation that we in that we in with all the other racial inequalities that is happening in South Africa, right? And then you say like, okay, so you appeal day and night, and nothing happens. What will you do? So that's just the question I really want to throw out there. Like, and what has changed? And at the end of the day, you have to see like, what is the tangible result that you have seen that had come up, that has come out of this? You have to ask that.
mm,
You see,
pro,
at the end of the,
pro,
I
pro,
mean, there is no option. So people go to war. I think when they see that there are no options, war would be the
mm.
only option.
if
Does
if
that
I
make
if
sense?
I can if I can try to answer partly the question you've asked, and you've made a great example about South Africa. Um, in all negotiations and in all agreements, there is there has to be something that somebody can at least say, I can. This has to be a compromise. There is no
Compromise, definitely.
negotiations where everyone gets what they want fully. There's never
Mm,
been any negotiation where everyone gets everything they want. Even amongst, even inside the government. Let's say, for example, South Africa transitioning from apartheid to a democracy.
Hmm.
Some people, even some black people, said we need to go and fight and kill the white people. For example, there are those
mm,
who are saying, "Hey, it's time now. We're in power. We're going to kill them. We've been insulted. We've been destroyed. We've been a lot of stuff taken from us." But leadership. That's where also leadership is important, to speak to the people of the nation, to be in the forefront, to give them what's happening in the negotiation, to speak to them, to say, guys, as we are taking the land, or as we are taking the country, these are the things that we're willing to take, and these are the things that we need to all work towards building a united society, building a country where war will cost us more. In our negotiation, we saw that war was going to cost us more than it will benefit anyone. There won't be any winners in this. So people went
Yeah.
into their marriage, and but even though there were many divisions, even white people, there were some white people that said they even went to try to fight and whatnot, but that was shut down because majority of the country said we are tired. We've there's been so much bloodshed now. We just want to
Yeah.
build a nation. But even though that
Ezra.
after that, yeah, but
Ezra.
yes.
Sorry. Let me ask you this, right? Okay.
Mm,
In South Africa, okay, currently in South Africa,
mm.
who owns most of the land?
It's the whites who own commercial land, because I think there's also a difference between what people sometimes don't define in South Africa. It's a good debate. We need to speak about this debate as well about land in South
Mm,
Africa. There's what we call
mm,
commercial land, and there's
mm,
what we call communal land. South Africa is divided into two.
Hmm.
mm,
If I may explain it in that format. But there's another form,
mm,
yeah. But let's I'm gonna just explain the two just for the sake of time. There's commercial
mm,
land, which is farms, agriculture,
Hmm.
which is owned mostly the commercial agriculture is owned by, yes, the white people, because remember land was mostly given to them as they were conquering other tribes. They took more land, and then it's more commercial in terms of agriculture, industrial, and mining, right? And there's what we call
mm,
communal land. It's land that's under chiefs. That's where most black people are living, in what we call communal land. So
Hmm.
that's
mm.
the difference between the two. So when they're
Commercial
looking
and
at
communal.
what we call the means of production, where the money, the wealth of the country, the land where that is
Hmm.
productive in the land. Because we can have a big country, but if you are not doing anything in that land, it just becomes a worthless land. That's why people don't even understand the land. So in South Africa, we're having an issue where we have what we call productive land, commercial land, where it's industries, it's mining, it's agriculture. And then there's what we call the communal land. The communal land was divided according to tribes. So most black people live in communal lands because most of the land that was so-called commercial, some of them was taken from black people during the 1800s and whatever, historically, right? So there's been land claims. Others, they've been given back their land, but imagine you are giving a community of, let's say, 10,000 people who've put a claim, right, over a land, over an ancestral land. And then in that land you find that it's a big commercial banana plantation and wheat plantation in that land, that you are giving 10,000 beneficiaries. But among those 10,000 people, they also have different interest groups and stuff. End up finding that commercial land, what we call productive land, ends up not being, no one is farming in those areas. Then the whole commercial place, you find big farms that were producing food, exporting and stuff. It's there dead, not being worked on, because there's a lot of infighting among the people that get those lands, for example. Those are what we call commercial failures of they call a land redistribution in South Africa. There's a policy called land redistribution. Hence, you've had organizations like your EFF, like Malema, saying we will take land without expropriation. The reason why there's a pushback, and other people are supporting him, but the problem is those are productive land. How when you take a commercial industrial land and you just give to people and then it's no longer producing anything, you are robbing the country of development as well. You're taking people back. Hence, sometimes such policies, some people don't support it. Especially business doesn't support such, because they think that we are going to
Mm,
lose. And it's not just for just you saying white people are benefiting from such. It's jobs for other people who are also your color or your tribe. And looking at business can always move. Even if you take the land and you have the land and then you do nothing, what are you going to do? You build homes and what else? You need to have a plan. Hence, most of the people that saying if you want to take some of the land, you want to give to black people. It's not that black people all don't have land. Most of the time, that's why we also, when you're looking at land in South Africa, it's a controversial topic. You're looking at, when you go to the cities, land is expensive. Land is
mm,
privately owned by companies, banks. It's formalized in South Africa. It's not like you can just go and just put a land somewhere. That's why you have people that come from rural areas. They live in shacks, because it's what we call informal settlements. Those are lands.
mm.
It's like you getting a patch of land, but you find that there is a title deed. Somebody owns that land, but they're not using it at that point. And people live in a city.
Yeah.
They can't afford to live in the city because it's a bit expensive. Then they end up having what you call informal settlement, shacks and what all that stuff. So that
Yeah.
the point about the land issue, for example, it boils down to the give and take. Will you just take and then do what? Have the plans. And even when we're looking at some of the policies that have been implemented, where they've given some people land, others are commercial. There are other good black commercial farmers who are doing well, who are farming, exporting stuff, and then. But even though white people still owned most of the agriculture, commercial. We're not talking about small farms here. We're talking about serious farming. And you must remember, most of the white people, they have a generational wealth of being doing this farming business, not something that you are just the first generation. And we're not. There's also what we used to call communal farming, where in your village you just farm. You've got farms that you just farm. But in commercial now, we're talking about markets. We're talking about suppliers. You've got agreements with countries where you need to export those foods and whatnot. It's not something that you can just easily take. And there's so many interest groups. That's why such a policies are very controversial. No one just wants to just act tough, and you do it, and then you lose a lot in your country. People, you go back having the same cycle of poverty. People are out of jobs because those lands that are very productive and fertile to produce are no longer producing, because people are there's infighting among themselves, because you can't give 10,000 beneficiaries land and say farm, while a farm was owned by maybe one family and employing people, or owned by even institutions. There's other lands in our country where it's owned by food companies. Hence, they can produce commercial stuff and even have food in shops and whatnot. So, but it's an interesting topic. So, going back to South Africa having a dialogue, they knew that they can yes, we're going into a political transition. That's why some people say we got the political power, but we could not attain the economic power when we got in power. Because commercial is also, when you go into economics now, we have to know that there's the business that's there already. How do you just say, okay, every white person out? Even if you take, it's only 4 or 5 million white people, and then we, as black people, we're like what, 50 million or something. No one there will still be another oligarch of new black people. Even now there's other black people who are doing very well, who are making money, who took over some of those businesses, or who have started their own stuff, and who are doing well. But you must remember also, the structure of our economy is also owned by a lot of businesses. It's not just individuals, because sometimes the people tend to make it a matter of white people. Is South Africa, it's only white people who own this stuff. But there's institutions like your PICs. Those are even government bonds that have invested in those stocks or those companies that people are saying it's only white people.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, in the transition to 94, yes, the Mandelas, the whoever, and people cannot. The reason sometimes I don't say it's one person, because there was a group. The negotiation started in the 80s for the transition of democracy in South Africa, or longer than that. But in the 80s, business started talking to the political people to say, how can we work with you guys? We know that you will be in power. How do we transition that? But as a government, they knew that, remember, as black people, we were not allowed to become anything we want. Some people, it was just rare to have most of the skills, because black people were supposed to be the minor labor. That's why even after 94, many black people didn't want to do the minor jobs anymore. And some people will say, oh, South Africans, they don't want to work, they're lazy and whatnot. It's because they've worked so many times for many years building the nation, and nothing to show for the nation. And hence, most people, they saw the dirty jobs as, we are tired of the dirty jobs. We want to do things that can create wealth for us as people, you know.
Mm.
But there was
Mm.
compromise, and compromise had to be taken, because there was no way, even if we say all the white people leave, we know there was going to be sanctions against South Africa. Economically, we were going to be battered. We were not going to maintain this ship. We were going to go down flat. It's just straight simple, because remember, the money is not just about the white people who are in South Africa, but there's also the American companies that are here, the European companies that are here. That's why if you touch their interest, if you touch any interest of the big boys or the big countries, you will feel it. Look at Zimbabwe. They made an example to say, you touch our interest, we will show you. We can triple a country where it was also a food basket. Remember, Zimbabwe has a similar history as South Africa. Namibia has a similar
Mm.
history where there was a white minority rule and whatnot. And all those black people in those nations, they build those nations with nothing. They can't show, our most of our forefathers, they can't show anything. We are the first generation to build wealth going forward. So
Israel.
compromises have
Okay.
to be made. Compromises had to be made for, even if
Yeah.
any country
Yeah.
wants to go into
Israel.
negotiation, there will never be winners for everything.
And guys, also, yeah, let's try to go back to the topic as well. We have Professor Ezra right here. He needs to
Yeah,
share as well, and we're not gonna. But I appreciate for the explanation.
that you give.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can,
because
can I extend a little bit on what Israel was talking about, since South Africa is the example here?
Yeah.
And I think like the fundamentals to conflict. I think fundamentals to conflict. I'm not an expert on conflict resolutions, but the little I have read and studied since the topic came up yesterday and the little bit I explored points to, like, first and foremost, we have to really lay on the table what are the key variables, who are the key players, who are the key actors to a conflict. And I was mentioning a little bit of it in my message on the chat room. What I call the invisible hand. So the key variables. Let's take South Africa for example. The key variables to tensions were not just the blacks and the whites who were residents and who have lived and who have had the direct confrontation in South Africa, but there was a broader set of variables. There are African entities, African countries, African nations who were out there, doing everything they can to end apartheid. And there were European and Americans who were on the side of the apartheid leaders for many, many, many decades. So, the resolution of the conflict in the 90s, early 90s and 1990, then the 90s and 1994, it was also coincided with the changing of the world dynamic. The dynamic of the world changed. All of a sudden, European powers and America and the European powers who were supporting the apartheid regime had a change of heart and say, this is something that we cannot sustain. This model that we've designed in South Africa is not sustainable. So while the negotiation appears to be between ANC and other major players in South Africa, like the trade unions alongside ANC and other opposition forces, along with on the other side of the table they have apartheid, but there were also all these other players who were also on the table, but we don't see them. So why do I talk about these key variables? Is that, okay, you look at the conflict in Ethiopia right now, and you think the conflict is between the government, the federal government, and the party in Tigray. But if you want to resolve the conflict, all participants to the conflict must be part of the equation. Must be part of, because they are key variables. They are key variables to the conflict. So let me say this: the United Nations is a party to the conflict, even though it wants to make you believe it's not party to the conflict. The Americans and the Europeans are party to the conflict, even though they make it out to be, the conflict is between the two. All our concern is humanitarian, and humanitarian is our concern. That's the Americans and the Europeans are party. And then you have the Chinese and the Russians and the Turkish also part of the conflict. And then the African Union and African countries and the African people part of the conflict. So the conflict in Tigray, its resolution will come not only when the two major warring, the face of the war. I say the face of the war, not the minds of the war or the actors of the war, the face, not just the face of the wars, but everybody involved sits on the table and say like, the UN, my interest is truly humanitarian. This is what I want. TPLF, my interest is this. This is what I want. This is how I want to achieve it. And so peaceful negotiated settlements cannot be attained when we ignore major players, but because we don't see them on the face, because they don't appear to be the face of it. So that's the one element of resolution or conflict resolution. The other element of conflict resolution that I think we should also think about, that I have come to see, that there are moments and times when war is the only thing that you have. And let me give you an example. In the case of, I want to go back to Ethiopia because it's so familiar, so current, that if the Ethiopian government peacefully settles, have a negotiated settlement with the other side of the war, without without any kind of retribution for taking arms, for trying to assert power through undemocratic means, or through through these methods that are costly to societies. What precedent is it going to set for other countries, for other entities that are actually out there that have tension, that have conflict with the government of Ethiopia? If we let TPLF get away with using war as a means of achieving its goal, we are also setting precedents for other powers that be that it is possible to actually attain what you're looking for through means of muscle and power, not through the means. There's a delicate balancing that needs to be done. So when you're thinking about settling conflict, of course you want to settle it with the least amount of cost, which is the peaceful means. But sometimes you might have to step up and say, you know what, there's a line. There's a line that cannot be crossed. That line, if that line is crossed, then the issue of peaceful negotiation might not be in question. I can give you an example of like the civil war in the United States. The civil war in the US is a great example. When this is this is, I think, the somebody who was working for the State Department was explaining the incident at the time. I think it was a Southern Confederate attacked a military base in the US, in I think part of the US, and that's how the conflict in 1860 started. And a lot of countries pushed Lincoln to use peaceful means to resolve the issue, and tried it, but it didn't work. So they had to step in and say, you know what, the ultimate resolution comes from placing our muscle where where our roots, backing our democracy with muscle, backing our way of life with muscle. The same thing with the Second World War, where you had fascist entities that would not be spoken to with anything else but the means of war. So when we are thinking about resolution of conflict, we have to first think about all the variables, but also we have to have a very sound understanding of what is the role of war in resolving this. Sometimes you develop a military might so that conflicts don't arise, so that people only option is to go to peaceful means, not through military means. When countries are weak, then military becomes a means. So we have to address this. We have to address interventionists. You look at Mozambique. Is it just the Islamists that are saying stop drilling for gas that should be part of the conflict resolution, or should it be including the gas companies, the oil giants, part of the deal? Because could they be financing? Could they be part of financing some of the conflicts, some of the tensions? So we have to be confronting these things head on, and then really have that kind of a holistic approach to understanding how conflicts are resolved.
Oh, thank you so much, Ezra, for your insights. Guys, as you continue to share, I want to remind you that we have 22 minutes left, because I think it would be good to finish then, but even if we can finish in 20 minutes, it's also all right. Kuru, welcome, brother. I think you haven't really shared a lot today.
Yeah.
Professor Kuru?
Hey, what up? What up? What up? Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Israel said it all. I mean, the point that he raised. I mean, it's there should be a systematic way that we approach this. I mean, of course, but that's against human nature, and in my opinion, humans, we are not wired like that. We are uh we're very selfish creatures. I think that's the way to put it. I mean, in theory, of course, everything makes sense that we talked about. In theory it makes sense, but in reality, what we see here, if you don't have like a military might, for example, like the US or whatever, like China, the Chinese or something like that, I mean, what is? I mean, I really don't know what to say, to be honest.
What do you want to say about our brothers and sisters from China?
It is complicated. Yes, you're saying it is complicated. It's not. It's
You
not.
know they're my neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a very sensitive issue because especially what is really happening in our country currently. I mean, this is the result. We were seeing the result, right? Like negotiation. I mean, that could have happened. That could have saved so many lives. That could have saved so many resources, right? But this is what really happens. So I think when it boils down to the simplest form, I think it is human nature that we're so selfish, we're so greedy, right? We always go for what we want. We don't compromise. Israel said the Israel from South Africa. He said it's a compromise. Like who compromise from who? From which side, right? So who's gonna win at the end of the day? So the world is wired like that. It's just me winning, you losing. That's how it goes. So you can do. I mean, we can talk about we can talk about it, but at the end of the day, the result, like what we see, the reality is one always takes advantage of another one. So you have to keep your ground. You have to stay on your ground if you really want to survive. So it's all about survival at the end of the day.
But,
So that's just how I see it.
Kuru, I'm gonna push you back on this one. Like, yes, it is like at the minimum, it is the survival, but living on a minimum is not. It's not necessarily also. It's also human to aspire. Aspiration is also human. It's like looking to create. Creation is also human. Innovation is also human. I mean, as survival is human, so are all these other human characteristics. So conflicts are choices, tensions are choices. So it's not necessarily without. We're not necessarily without choice. So, like, if we want to resolve conflict, we have to be very, very direct. Like, who are party to conflict? I mean, look at Sudan, for example, right now. Sudan. The Sudan has, every country, everywhere, there's always tension. But when we add spices to these tensions, all these spices that are being added, all these catalysts that are being added to conflict, then the conflict becomes more deadly and more costly. I mean, the tension in Sudan that is coming east, west, and south is every day is getting worse. Not just because Sudanese are not finding a way to have a conversation with each other, even though they don't agree with each other. It's also because there are different actors that we don't see on a daily basis, that are not visible to us on a daily basis, are acting in a manner that this serves our interest. The Eritreans say, Eritreans, Ethiopians say, if Sudan is organized, it's too organized, since it is supporting the rebel force in Ethiopia, since it's organized, how do we come into this thing, to the tension that already exists in Sudan, and add a little bit of spice to it, and then it confuses the process a little bit more. Or the Americans will say, how do I force Ethiopia and Eritrea to kneel down? So Sudan becomes a tool, and then like, how do I support part of the Sudan that aligns with my view? Or Egypt comes in, and like, how do I get Sudan? So then, in order to resolve the conflict in Sudan, you have to get the Egyptians, the Americans, the Ethiopians, the Eritreans, along with those people who are the face of the conflict inside the country. And then I don't want to say, like the Egyptians and the French and the Americans and the Ethiopians are not party to the conflict. They are party to the conflict, even though they don't have a major stake, or they don't have as much stake in Sudan as the Sudanese. They're still part of the conflict. They need to be part of the discussion. You go to Guinea, you go to Mali, you go to Swaziland, Swati. I think that's a new name right now. Swati. You go to Mozambique, you go to Burundi, you go to Congo. Everywhere you go.
Ismail, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
Let me ask you this.
yeah,
That totally makes sense, all right? That totally makes sense, right? But
yeah,
let me ask you this. World War One, right?
yeah.
World War One. So what happened after World War One?
The Versailles Treaty of Versailles negotiated settlement, but that negotiated settlement was also not problematic.
Yeah, after World War One, World War Two happened,
Yes.
right? Isn't that what happened?
By the way, the deadliest conflict since the era of Kingston. By the way, the last time millions of people died from conflict was during
Yeah.
the time of Kingston. So that tells you how big these two conflicts are. By the way,
Like it's really mind-boggling for me just to think about this kind of stuff because I mean we don't learn from our history. I mean it's just the conflict when you say the one time it's Congo, one time it's this, one time it's that, just changing faces, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's just human
Yeah.
nature at play. This is what I'm just trying to tell you all you guys. I
Mm.
mean
yeah,
this is our nature in some extent. I mean, you can argue
Yeah.
this is a spirituality stuff like that. Of course, that also
Mm.
takes part in it. But I think at the end of the
Mm.
day, it's just we are so selfish. We're so greedy. I mean, I
Mm.
don't consider your point. I don't see it from your shoes. I only think about myself. If that's if that's the way that we are conducting ourselves in this world, I mean, that's the cause of every chaos in our world, right? This
Yeah.
is why we actually are seeing it. Like, you name everything. Today it's Africa. Tomorrow it's gonna
Mm.
be China. Tomorrow, it's just full circles. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah.
don't
I
forget
wanna.
I mean, like, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
I
On,
mean,
on. Yeah.
everybody knows the solution. Trust me on this. Everybody knows the
Yeah.
solution, right? Everybody knows. But why
Yeah.
are not we doing it? Why are not we doing nothing about it?
Mm.
Ask yourself.
me. Yeah, it will cost us a lot of people before we do anything. I mean, 70 million people in the Second World War. 70. That's the population of Ethiopia is 120. I think there are very few countries that
Mm.
have reached 70 million in Africa. So, it tells you it's a huge, and then this happened in 5 years. And they tell us our African conflicts are deadly. European conflicts are even deadlier. I mean, like they're more savage. I mean, the European when they are fighting, they are more savagery. The savagery of their conflict
Yeah.
is unmatched by anything. And they come to us today and tell us, "Oh, we are tushy goody. We have reached enlightenment." Oh my God! This is if this is enlightenment. Come on, I don't want that.
On that point,
Yeah.
on that point, guys, on that point. So somebody, Rita, she said this, and I want to point out about something. It say a lot of propaganda in here, Ethiopia. Personally, I don't know who to believe. A lot of bloodshed, heartbreaking events. Sometimes all I want to do is praying because all of the fighters are my bloods. What I want to point out is this is how Rita feels, and there's a lot of people who feels like this
Yeah,
in not only in Ethiopia but throughout the continent of Africa. This is just one person who can represent a lot of people who feel the same thing. Like I don't know what to believe. Okay, I see things are moving, I see things are going well, but then on the other side, I'm like I'm in the place of confusion. I don't know what to support. I don't want what to believe. People are dying. Why can we stop this going on? Like and me personally, I agree with all of you what you've said. Akuru, you said this is in the human nature, and I believe that is it's part of, like, it's that sin that is already inside of us, that we are greedy, we are selfish, we always want things for ourselves, and we don't see anything else ahead of us. And that's why we go back all the way to what Professor Ezra shared a long time ago about education. Like, even though this is part of us, but when we train our kids, when we train our students from the very, like, beginning level, to train how to live with other people, because you can find out that a lot of people who have been raised right in their families, they do not grow and start doing those kind of things.
yes,
Like, I was in the family that I was raised, we were only five members in the family, like dad, mom, and three kids. All of a sudden, my dad's brother and older and younger, they died, and all the kids came to our house. All of a sudden, we had like 12 different members in the family living together in the same under the same roof.
Every single, we used to have a little piece of meat like this. You have one and one, and then sometimes you get a leg because dad has to get a good piece of meat. But that leg you have to divide because that one chicken you have to share for the whole week. So you have one leg and you have to divide with all these 12 different kids
One
together.
bite, pass the next bite, and pass.
Exactly. I used to eat head. Even head, the chicken head, I used to eat it. I
I'm sure
never
it's
let
delicious.
and at the end of the day, I used to eat even the bones because the
Yeah.
chicken is limited and you have to share with everybody. And I was getting annoyed. It reached the point when I feel like I'm adopted. I feel like I'm not a kid of this family. Why do I need to suffer because of other guys that are here? They're not even belong to our family. But my dad and my mom, they'll always say, you know what, we gotta share. God will make a way for us. That's
Yeah.
how I was raised until the time. That's why I ran away. I was like, you know what? I'm out. I'm out. Bye bye, Tanzania. I ran away. But my point is that's how I was raised. And now the way I live, I know that I need to share. If my neighbor is not at peace, I have to make sure that he's at peace. If my neighbor don't have bread, I have to share my bread with them. So if we train our people from the very at the beginning level, I think we'll have a society that yes, we have this nature, the human nature that greedy and selfish, but we have people who they just think like common sense because this is morals. These are African morals, African values that you have to love one another. You have to share with your neighbor. You cannot just kill your neighbor because of something that you want. That's one thing. The second thing that I want to agree with what Ezra said, that it comes down to a choice. We have to make a choice that all right, we are going through this something, but we need to have that determination of making a choice that all right,
Yeah.
whatever how hard it gets, or I don't know, like complicated it gets, whatever, like if I get really mad, like oh no, I want to do like some crazy, but still I can choose not to take that road. And I
Yeah.
can choose maybe to cool myself down. If meditation is going to help you, go and meditate. If praying is going to help you, go and pray. If sauna is going to help you, go in the sauna and get your brain burned. And it's going to help you, going to come freshen up and have different mindsets. So all these things, I think, is things that we need to, to
But I think
consider as well.
human nature, like it really, like we gotta hit on this one. They say survival is human nature, and then we ignore all these other things are not human nature. All these other things are things that you develop. No, like I don't believe human survival is the only human nature. It is one of the natures.
Mm.
I think being good is also a part of our nature.
Yeah. Mm.
Being bad is also part of our nature.
Exactly.
Creation is also part of our nature.
That's true.
So
That's so
it's a
good.
nature of what are you nurturing? Which part of your nature are you nurturing?
Mm.
So the education system is about nurturing that human intrinsic human qualities, nurturing them, growing them. If you leave a place, if you have a farm and then you don't weed out the weeds out of it, the weeds are going to grow, and then you're going to consume. They're going to compete with the things that with the food that you're growing. So it's about nurturing the things that are natural to us. Being moral is also part of our nature, but you have to nurture.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's and I think I also want to address Rita's concern. I think like yes, there's too much propaganda, but there are ways for you to distinguish what is propaganda trying to deceive you and what is propaganda that's trying to inform you. It's not enough to blame the environment for your problems. You are inside the environment, so you have the mind and the heart to be able to see through things that are like when somebody posts, like this is the thing, like I don't want to say, like, somebody from the conflict, one of the conflicts, posted a picture one day and said, "Oh, our rebel forces have now captured this town." He put it on social media, said, "Our rebel forces captured this town," and the picture that he posted was a person who was on the opposite side of the war, who was saying, "Oh, we are in this town," and the picture of the background is the name of a town. And then when that person realized the person that he posted was the wrong person, he took it down. And then the next day he posted, "Oh, we just we just captured a tank that was just only used for 4 days. A tank that was used for 4 days by the opposing forces, and and then quickly people checked it. It was a tank, a picture of a tank taken from Alibaba. You all know Alibaba, right? There
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
picture of a tank taken from Alibaba, but this person was claiming the day before was claiming something, and when they was realized that was false, they took him down. The next day, so you have to say, okay, somebody with a pattern and the ability, the pattern of lying consistently to you,
Mm,
deceiving you, has been proven multiple times over and over and over again. You want to
mm,
be cautious of listening to those voices.
mm,
So the same with the government of Ethiopia, I can say the same thing. There are moments where I don't want to hear. I don't want to I just don't believe it
mm,
because I believe myself more than I believe anybody else's word.
mm,
I believe I have the ability to see through lies and truths. To the extent I am able to do that, I rely on that as much as possible between me and my God. I mean, this, like everybody else is just secondary.
yeah.
So you
Mm,
have to trust yourself. Rita, you have to trust your ability to see through
mm,
lies and
mm,
believe that, and then develop it. Continue to develop it, and you become better at distinguishing between lies and truths.
mm. Well, I appreciate, brother. Appreciate.
We have
Your
about
Excellence. Yeah, Your Excellence Ezra. I want to give you a moment
wrap.
to share your final thoughts. Yes, wrap up. Yes,
Mute. Yeah, muted.
cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on.
On my final thoughts, I still say we need to put dialogue is still one of our options. It's
Mm,
not our only options, obviously. And
mm,
to allay, I think partly why people take guns, it's because of fear. Everyone
mm,
is Whoever has a gun, they'll tell you I'm protecting myself or I'm protecting my interest. And I believe that if we can remove fear, that coming to the negotiation table or coming to talk does not
mm,
mean you are weak, or you are not strong enough, but it
yeah.
shows you that you can stand and you're willing to talk like a man, and you can sit at the table and
Mm,
have your issues being listened to, because that's a platform. I think it's an opportunity for everyone to come to the table, who all the people who have interest, who have their own interest at heart. And no one should feel like they'll be threatened because they are coming to put their issues on the table. And for everyone to come and like to allay everyone's fears, that coming to the table does not mean you're weak. Coming to the table, it means everyone can now hear your part. What is
mm,
your issue? What is your cry? What do you think is your interest? What do you stand to lose? Because I think fear sometimes is behind some of these things, because everyone with the gun is trying to protect their own interest. And also to also destroy some people, is for them to get attention. It's like a child, when he's crying or when she's crying for something, she might throw her toy around. Maybe she did some she's crying and she throws a toy around. It's a cause for concern for you to reach out to see what's happening. Why do you throw your toy around? That is, but it's up to us as a continent, to try to make sure that everyone comes to put everyone on the table and encourage everyone to come to the table instead of keeping quiet. Because I think sometimes the issue will be like, the reason why some of the issues are being perpetuated or they keep on repeating is because as we're talking about the fires, now it's here, now it's Somalia and Kenya, what all these issues, all it needs is the people to come to the table. As much as, yes, there will be international laws that have been implemented or have been requested and all that stuff, eventually as Africans we need to come to a point where we say this can be an all-out war. I mean, imagine if a whole region is having issues with all their neighbors. It's not healthy. Everyone should be advocating that, guys, African Union, it's time that we're going to have to sit with all the leaders we need to come and speak to this. We need to try to make sure that our region is stable, because if there's a war, that an abrupt war that will come back to my neighbor is fighting his neighbor or his own people, chances are those people will be coming to my house to come and beg for bread. So
Yeah.
for it's in our interest to make sure that our neighbors are well off, well taken off, they are stable, instead of us just keeping quiet and saying no. This is not our issue. We are doing a quiet diplomacy. No, that man knows better. Sometimes I've heard people saying it's because they cannot call each other to order because they are all doing wrong things. It's like when you know that your neighbor is a thief and you're a thief, you can't even go to tell your neighbor because the neighbor knows that you're also doing something wrong. So things like that, where we need leadership in such place, in such instances where a leadership can be placed to say, guys, in our region, we will not tolerate such things. If there's an issue in my neighbor, we need to go and try to say, neighbor, how can we help you? How can we be of help? We're not enforcing ourselves to say we are coming to come and negotiate with those people. No, we need to ask, obviously, permission. Every man's home is still his home. He's still the head
Yes.
of the family. You need to respect that. So,
Yeah.
but it's a matter of just reaching out and say, brother, should you need any help, I'm available to assist you. Because this problem, I see that tomorrow it might be harmful to you. And I know it's a threat to your country. Any instability, any uprising, it's a threat to the community. It's not just about wars only, even protest. I don't know if you guys you saw in July in our country, there was lots of
Yeah,
protests,
big protest.
venues
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
Yes,
Mm,
and
mm.
our democracy somehow showed like no one is above the law. Even if you were and former president, you did something or you didn't follow a certain procedure, you can go to jail.
Yes.
It's not and when even our judicial systems are strong enough to persecute even leadership, to say, as a leader, atrocities were done in your nation. If your nation says no, we need to take it to court, you need to go on account, so be it. And we should be encouraging such, and it will create a place where we cannot harbor a greed, we cannot harbor selfishness. People will need to account. I think those are the things. Accountability is what also removes people's greed. I think Ezra, yesterday you said something, I can't quote you there, but you said something along the lines of the Western world, they've got the greed, but they've mastered the level of how much you can go, something
Yeah.
like along those lines,
Yeah.
where that you said the Western world, they've mastered how much you can take
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
much you can make, and how
Mm,
much you need to account for.
yeah.
If we can
Mm,
have such things where even leadership needs to know that if you're doing wrong, whether you're a leader, you will need to account at some point, and you need to
yeah.
account even if you are a standing president. We don't even wait for you to leave
Yeah.
power, because those are the issues that also bring conflicts in terms of
Yeah.
leaders being afraid. Others, maybe they're sitting on power because they know, if I say goodbye to the state house, hey man, they're coming for me. They're gonna ask me, 19 so and so you did 1 2 3, in 19
Yeah.
so and so you did 1 2. Others, maybe
Yeah.
that's the issue,
Yes. Right.
because they've got so much. But anyway, in closing, that was dialogue. I still advocate for it, and I wish that we still pray for more
Yeah.
of peace and prosperity. Peace and prosperity go hand in hand.
Before we go to the closing prayer, can I just say just one point? I will not take
Yeah.
more than a minute. I think, like, one, like, we have to understand conflicts are not necessarily simple. Like, a lot of actors, and we have to put all actors on the table. Always all actors on the table. And the other one is, like, I think, like Israel just mentioned. Thank you for reminding me of yesterday. We can't eliminate everything. Like,
Mm.
I can give you in the case of example, in the case of Ethiopia, you cannot eliminate TPLF. The government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia cannot
Mm.
think of the absolute and total elimination of TPLF. Its ideology, its idea should not be the target. The
Mhm.
target should be, like, how do we contain aspect of our negative nature, contain and
Mm.
manage, so we can manage. So the notions that the parties represents cannot always be eliminated through the means of war. Sometimes it's eliminated through the means of education. So you have to sometimes you cannot eliminate it in one peaceful negotiations. So we have to take into that consideration. And the last thing I want to make is that, like, we cannot say we are powerless. I cannot say
Mm.
I'm powerless. The reason I'm on this channel And the reason Mika is on this channel, the reason Isra is on this channel, the reason Kuru is, the reason every one of you are in this channel is because you are searching for ways that to act and then impact the process what's going on, like bring peace and stability, love and compassion into our continent. And we believe we can do it. So we cannot outsource that responsibility 100% to those people in power. We have to hold them accountable. We have to push them to go in the direction of resolving conflict before they reach the stage of war, in addressing the challenges of communities, economic, social, political, and spiritual, emotional, all of the above issues, whether they are mentioned here or not. Bring them on the table, confront them, and have the minds and the hearts that are out there to resolve them. Bring everybody to the table to resolve these issues. I think that's what I would say to this point.
Mm. That's amazing, guys. That's amazing. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming here today. First of all, I appreciate for His Excellence Ezra. Appreciate for throwing your knowledge here today. I feel full. I didn't have dinner yet, but I feel like I already had dinner. So I appreciate for for all of your insights and wisdom. I don't know how old are you, but I think you have to be the Asian man because you
Yeah.
have so much wisdom.
Aged, like a
We-
very
we-
like very old South African wine.
Yeah.
they say
Very easy to
wisdom.
swallow.
Wisdom, it's not only for the age in years, but
Yeah.
there's also divine wisdom. When you look at King Solomon, when you look at
Oh yeah.
Prophet Daniel, those are the
That's what
people
I'm
that
talking about.
had, you know. So in
Mm,
this day and age, us as Africans, there is so much wealth in knowledge. There's so much wealth in wisdom in Africa, and
mm,
it's just a matter of us tapping into it, and also not
yeah.
holding our knowledge to just say, I'll
Mm,
just hold it to my corner, my life,
mm,
as long as I'm fine, I've got food, I've got
yeah.
this, I've got cars, I've got that. But beyond that, where the world needs to share, we need to open up. Africa needs to
Mm,
be, going back to one of the topics we had a few weeks ago about African stories, African people speaking, people, the
mm,
world to see African speaking. These are the platforms, Mika, that we thank God for giving you the wisdom to
mm,
create platforms like this where Africans can be heard, Africans can speak, and share their knowledge, share whatever they feel that, even talk like what we're having. I mean, imagine if the countries that are at war, or just interest groups, be it people who are in power versus people who are in a certain place and whatnot. If they were talking like us, yes, there will be tension now and then. We want to agree on certain things, or we might agree on certain. If you look, if they had to sit down maybe on an informal, not to say, not no one coming with suits to say I'm the president, or I'm sent by the president to tell these people whatever. If people can just come and have a nice barbecue and just let's just talk.
mm,
I'm
Let's
telling you,
just
you
have
find
a
that those
talk.
people,
Let's just
those
have a
people,
talk.
let's just have a talk.
Talk,
Like,
yeah. Let's
and
have
you find that,
barbecue and talk.
yeah,
Let's
mm.
you
sit
find that,
around the meal and and, and like have a glass of wine
Mm,
and then pop in the champagne and say and celebrate peace. And
yes.
it's
Mm,
just it's much more profitable. This is
yeah.
what
Yeah.
much more profitable. So sorry,
Yeah.
Mika. Yeah.
All right, that's beautiful, guys. So let's take a moment, guys, to have a prayer. To pray for Africa, guys. This is the if you were not here yesterday. This is the moment whereby us here on the screen we try to pray from our hearts, to pray for Africa and to pray for our countries, and because we believe in the power of God, and it doesn't matter, guys, what region you're coming from, who God you worship. I don't even know these guys like what religion they are. I don't know because there's no
Don't
point to
ask.
ask one another what kind of this. There's no point. I don't know if they're
We are all
Christian
faithful
or
people.
not. I
That's
have
it.
no idea. Yes, I just know that I just know that they're African brothers who love Africa and want to see a better future or better tomorrow, even better today for Africa. So you guys, wherever you are right now, we're gonna have a moment. Wherever you are, please take this moment to pray for Africa, to pray for your country, to pray for the countries that you know they're going through some, crisis. Because at the end of the day, God is the only answer, y'all. We talk here, we spend a lot of hours to talk about how to do this and that, but God has to be at the center, and we're gonna include Him, and we're gonna come together regardless of our religion, regardless of our belief. Come together and pray with one language. That God, we want one Africa, and please remember Africa and remember our countries as well. All right,
Yes.
all right, guys. So let's do this. Let's
Yes.
do it.
Huh?
That's the, all right. Let's do this. Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Man. All
Amen.
right,
Thank you so
brothers.
much, Mika.
Thank you so much, brothers. You brothers are very special, and we're gonna see the Africa. We're gonna see this Africa changing. We're gonna witness that,
Yeah.
because somebody was telling me that a lot of time we're taking one word, but when you acknowledge God in your struggle, then you will see what is happening. Because we're not here trying to say that we know everything and we're smart and we can do this. I don't even know how to get myself together. You know what I'm saying? I'm here crashing in somebody else's house. I don't know how to get myself together,
Yes.
and we don't know even how to solve issues that we have. But
Yeah.
but we acknowledge that there's a extraordinary power that is in us and is watching after Africa. And yeah, so we'll see this happening. We'll see this
Yes.
happening.
Uh,
Mm,
Amen.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Amen.
mm.
Amen.
What Africa?
What
What
Africa?
Africa?
Unity. Peace, love,
Man,
and unity.
what Africa with all the faith in
Yes.
my heart.
Yes.
I love you, brothers. I'll see
We
you
love you
again.
too.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All
Love
right.
you
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Love
Bye,
you,
guys.
family.
Bye,
Cheers,
All right.
guys.
Kuru.
Yeah,
Kuru,
Guru, we
Prof.
love you
Kuru.
too.
Eh,
Professor Guru.
your Excellencies, what's happening with Prof. Kuru's network nowadays? Eh?
I think we need to have a conversation with him.
Ethiopian network like
Yeah.
that. Ethiopian network is like that. It's always like that. It's always been like that. So,
Yeah.
Safaricom is joining very soon. So hopefully it will improve.
I
Competition
can,
will improve it. So
I cannot wait to visit Ethiopia, because one day I'm gonna need to do a stream with Kuru right there together, sitting
hey,
together. I'm like,
don't you see
uh,
like you don't you watch those videos that you are reacting to? You're like, oh my god, he's so lucky. This Ghanaian
mm,
guy is so lucky. Like he
ah,
gets, oh my god, he get to see
yeah,
Master. He get to see. I mean, like things are like
man,
me. I've never had a privilege of witnessing
man,
like
that guy,
he's
yeah,
like he's on a different game by the way, different level. But
exactly.
you want to be part of that. I mean, I think like Mika, you gotta start taking trips very soon. Maybe
Yes,
maybe I don't know. Like I don't know if there's a place that you could go to Tanzania for to just to kind of experiment and play with.
mm, yeah,
And
man, like, uh,
we
very,
should think
very,
about
very
like
soon,
organizing.
very soon, man. The first country. The first country to get out of here, it will be visiting Ethiopia. We'll be
Nice.
visiting Ethiopia. No offense to Mr. Ezra from SA. I've been to SA
No?
before.
I want to also come there to Ethiopia. I'd love to
You know
visit
what Mandela
Ethiopia.
said about
Even,
Ethiopia, right? Israel, you know
even
what Mandela said about Ethiopia, right?
I think you told me the other day. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
refresh my
It
mind
was
there.
in
What did you
book.
say again?
He said something like nothing. I think something like, I'm paraphrasing. Nothing, nothing matches visiting Ethiopia. Like, be it Paris or London or these things. Nothing is as fulfilling and spiritually enriching as visiting my ancestral land called Ethiopia. So
No.
this is like, to me, like, we Ethiopians, the current residents of Ethiopia, are merely guardians of the place,
Mm,
but we don't own it. I don't believe we own it. The entire continent of Africa owns Ethiopia. It's a, it's
Mm.
a, it's a, because it is where, we all have our roots coming in from that
mm,
Eastern Africa, and then also part of South Africa as well as part of the cradle
mm,
of mankind. So
mm,
I feel like that's how I feel about Ethiopia. Sometimes it bothers me when Ethiopians are like so possessive about the place, and they think like, oh, you are a guest. No, I don't see you as a guest. I see you as
mm,
your own home somewhere else.
mm.
And
And I
Ethiopia is
want,
now important, eh?
yeah,
Look at the connecting flights in Africa currently.
Yeah.
In terms of anyone flying out, if you're not using via
Oh, totally,
Dubai
totally.
or any of the Emirates countries, look at it. It is a center now. At some point, it used to be Ghana. I know Ghana as well was a connecting place, but now Ethiopia is the connecting place where flights connect. Let's say if you are coming from the states, maybe coming to, let's say SA, for example. Sometimes you might have to do a connecting flight via Ethiopia and
yeah,
then
this,
coming
yeah,
down, or yeah, it is now like I mean even now the biggest airline in the continent is Ethiopian
Yeah.
airline. So
yeah,
all everything has come full circle. It's like the center. The African Union is this also the home of African Union there, you know. So you can imagine if this is a connecting, it's of strategic importance that. The prosperity and the peace of Ethiopia becomes a big priority because it is the hub now, the center. Imagine if now we talk about flights coming, so we can't afford to have any type of war. We need to sit down, we need to fix
Exactly.
this thing, because
yeah,
it's a hub, it's a center
yes.
of the continent, you know.
Mm,
I'm going to hold the Ethiopian government accountable if they don't do a very good job of resolving the conflict right now. Because
mm,
that's how I want people to, like, yes, you can support the government, but hold them accountable. Like,
mm. Exactly.
because they are right now in charge of,
Mm,
and everybody around Africa should ask the Ethiopian government to do its absolute best to resolve this conflict in a manner that assuage
mm,
all concerns, be it in
mm.
front or the back. So you're right. I mean, like, we have
Exactly.
extended this call about by 20 minutes more than
Mm.
it's supposed to. So I don't want
Oh
to.
yeah, yeah. We can leave that for another day. Um, hopefully we're gonna be coming back here tomorrow and to talk. But that's very
Hey, can we talk about
important.
African businesses next time? Like,
Oh
talk
yeah,
about African
definitely.
businesses, like,
Hmm.
African giants like
Okay.
EcoBank, like
All
it's
right.
one of my favorite banks in West Africa. I think a number of the corporate sector in Africa is growing very fast. It's actually growing
Mhm.
at a much higher rate than any other region. So
Yeah.
profitability in Africa is much higher than any other region. Risk is not as high as people used to say. So it would be nice. It would be interesting to cover, African
Definitely.
initiatives and African entrepreneurships,
That-
to give example of people who are actually going out there and doing, amazing stuff.
That's good.
Hmm.
That's good. So you know what? Let's talk about it. Tomorrow. We can
Yes,
talk about it right away as soon as possible. If you
yes.
have any like title that you would like us to
Okay,
talk about it, yeah, just you know what to do, Professor.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, your excellencies. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. God bless you, and yeah,
Bye,
Shalom.
bye, guys.
bye bye. Shalom.
Shalom.
Salam. Salam. Yo, guys, appreciate for stopping by. Such a beautiful day. Thank you everybody for joining today. And that it will be it. That's the end of our conversation. And I love you guys, and I will see you next time. I love Africa. I hope you do too. One Africa, yo. One Africa. One Africa. See you very soon tomorrow. See ya.